Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bogey Ball Society. Matt, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I see your
Yeah.
PXG hat. I raised you a
Oh
Gen
yeah.
8 PXG hat. How about that?
Ooh, did you get that at the PGA show?
I sure did. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
free. It
yeah.
was a freebie. Yeah. I did
Matt,
hit the Gen 8s. I just didn't buy the Gen 8s. Yeah.
I got to ask you about some other milestones in your life, though.
Sure.
You, you picked up Fit for Golf a few weeks ago, correct? And
I did.
started on your own fitness journey, and you stuck with it, right? How far along are you?
I'm
That sounded like I asked if you're
I'm like
pregnant. How far along are you?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm starting to show. I have I think I have 3 workouts left in phase 3. So
Okay.
through phase 1 through phase 2 into phase 3 and yeah, it's honestly I I like it. Like it's
Yeah.
a I'm a little surprised to admit that, but my biggest concern was like I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up. I don't know when to squeeze it in, but I just like made the commitment to get up at 5 or 5:30 every day,
Yeah.
and I'm done before the kids are up, which is awesome. And yeah, and it's I honestly the app makes it really easy cuz I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I'm doing, and every single exercise has a demonstration of exactly how to do it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Matt, I gotta tell you, man, you have a youthful exuberance to you right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big
Yeah,
deal.
well, thanks. Oh,
If
look, like, I got this thing you're starting to see.
well, let's not get
I
carried
don't e
away. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
like it's well, this isn't
yeah,
an ab or anything, it's just a tendon, but still, I'm excited to be able to see it.
yeah. Well, eh, with your newfound fitness dedication, it seemed only appropriate to ask Mr. Carroll himself to come back on. We've got Mike Carroll again, uh, the
He's such a
the
good dude. Ugh,
owner, founder, and the genius behind Fit for Golf. You're really gonna enjoy this one. Applies to all levels of golfers and all levels of fitness, right? I mean, there's something here for everybody. So hope you enjoy this one. I know you will.
yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Alright, enjoy.
I'm just gonna take your logo and screen print it on a T-shirt and not tell you about it.
Yeah, yeah. He's lying. He's really fishing for a polo. That's what he really wants.
Oh,
Hayes,
yeah.
Hayes needs
I'm
to add to
good.
his collection.
No, I'm
So many polos.
no, Mike. We're just thrilled you're back. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you're tracking, Mike. You were the very first guest we had on the
Oh,
Bogey Ball
good.
Society podcast. So
Yeah.
that you're back is a thrill for us. How have you been? And I want to start with the state of your game, because when we had you on, like the first question out of the gate was me asking you about clubhead speed because you had just reached 131 miles an hour. Are you at 132 and beyond now? Like, how's that gone?
That was probably in training, I would say, like hitting
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
foam ball into a net or something.
Yep. Yep.
So I'd be really similar, I would say. I've been
Okay.
doing in the winter. I did a decent amount of like hitting balls into a screen with like on TrackMan, trying to get speed up, and
Mhm.
on good days, like hitting it pretty hard, I'd get into the mid, maybe high 120s and like kind
Okay.
of mid to high 180 ball speeds.
Gee
Hit
whiz.
190 ball speed a few times. But on the golf course, like now, my good drives are high 170s to low 180s
Okay.
ball speed, like, which is pretty happy with that.
That's astonishing.
Yeah, like recent practice sessions on the range, kind of trying to hit good drives. I was getting like 180 to 183 with a range ball the last couple of days in
Jeez.
Okay.
practice. So, but they're good range balls. They're tailor-made range balls. So I think they're pretty
Sure.
close to a real ball. But yeah, if I put down the PRGR when
Wow.
I'm playing and I hit a good one, it's generally like high 170s, low 180s. And then if I
Okay.
slightly miss hit it, kind of low 170s, maybe mid 170s, which
Is that something you keep track of while you're playing? Like, do you bring that out every once in a while, or
just a little bit. Like I have the stack or the PRGR radar in my bag. It's
Yeah.
tiny, so if I'm just playing a casual round with some buddies, like I might use it for 2 holes or 3 holes or something like that.
Huh.
I'm not
I
doing
have
it
one
on
in my
every
bag.
hole or
It's
anything,
never, it's never occurred to me to throw it out during the round. But actually,
I
it would be good to
I
know
like
where
for
I'm at
people
during
being
the
able
round.
to see where they are on the course versus practice,
Mhm.
because sometimes you see people, you know, in their training, they can get up to whatever, let's say 105, and then they check 2 holes on the course and they're at 96, and you're like, well, you know, it's probably too much left in the tank there, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
cool.
it's a little bit of a distraction if you're not used to it. You know, if you're kind of trying to play, you know, if you're playing really well, you probably don't want to be, you know, taking it out on the 14th hole if you know, have 4 pars for your best score
right.
ever or something, like, you know. But
Yeah.
if you're just kind of playing casual, it's nice to see it. I kind of pick and choose the holes that I use it on. If it's a pretty wide open hole where there's not much stress, you know, like the 12th hole of a regular round or something, and it's wide open, it's like, yeah, this is a good hole to put it down. I can't really, you know, get into too much trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great.
Are you still in the plus territory with your handicap? Game is still strong then?
I'm not. I'm 1.5 at the moment. I've been struggling a little bit the last couple of months. I find
Sounds like it.
even though it's even though it's year-round golf here, I find it's a little bit seasonal for handicap, like in scoring.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Like I like it. Not that it gets super cold here or anything, but there's a difference between playing, you know, morning rounds from November to January versus April to kind of October. So I'm like last year, I think around this time I went up as high as 2 or something. I got soft capped, had a really poor start to the year, and then got down as low as plus 1.4 towards the end of the year. I can't remember the year before, but I have a feeling it's been similar to that. It's like, you know, maybe a 2 to 3 shot high to low during the year, with generally like earlier in the year being a bit more of a struggle. I play all my rounds like first thing in the morning, so it's definitely a bit colder, just, you know, harder to get the body moving, ball doesn't go as far, and
What's it get down to, like,
anyway.
in your those mornings? So like I'm at 1,500 feet elevation, so I'm about an hour and a half north of you, right? So for us, we get mornings in the 40s. And then it warms up into the 60s or 70s. So if you're playing later in the day, you don't even know that it was cold in the morning. But I tend to play most of my rounds.
We'd be the same. So like we'd probably, trying to think, I came from Celsius land, you see. So
I know.
We'd get like, I'd say in probably mid 40s is about as cold as it gets.
Yeah.
Like in the winters, roughly. So the way it always is like it can be like pretty cold for the first 5 or 6 holes, and then then you're usually good to go. Yeah.
I had my first sub 80 round in
that's great.
5 months, or it's been a slog. And but man, it's like I played the back 9 and even par. I had a bogey and a birdie and 7 pars. Like it just like clicked. And then I actually didn't even play the front 9 bad, but we had like 30-mile-an-hour winds. I played on Friday and it was insane.
Oh yeah, it was.
And it was so fun. It was, I gotta say, like I was not expecting it to be as much fun as it was, but you had to, you know, if it was into wind, I was clubbing up 2 clubs and I was still coming up short. Like it was awesome. It was frustrating, but it was really fun. And it's just, that's not a thing that we get a lot of out here. So that was
when
a
it
nice
comes,
little,
it's usually really strong though. Those like Santa Ana winds, if they're blowing in, like I was out on Saturday morning and like there was kind of boughs coming off trees and flower pots knocked over and stuff like that. You know, it does get windy here.
Yeah. It was a nice, fun challenge. It was a thing that I don't play in a lot of windy plains or anything. So that was cool.
Jay, are you sympathetic to the arguments over the weather right now and playing conditions?
No.
Yeah. What was the temperature today in Wisconsin?
So this has been my week so far. Monday was 76 degrees. Perfect. Today I woke up and it was 29. So 50-degree swing. We had wind. Speaking of wind, we had wind all day today. We have rain and or snow forecasted for the next 6 days. So we currently have no snow.
Yeah.
That somebody told me today at work, and I think they were just lying to be mean. They told me we're going to get 11 inches of snow over the rest of the week. I really hope that they were just being unkind.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah.
Because I I live on the course, and so when it starts getting nice, I
Uh,
start stalking the clubhouse
Yeah.
to see when they pull the golf carts out. So they're getting all the golf carts out yesterday. I'm like, yes, like we're getting close. We got like 3 weeks, and
Just
if
kidding.
it snows all week, we're getting pushed back to mid-April for
man.
sure. Like
Yeah.
there's no question. So,
Was your last round, Jay? Was that your personal best? Was that your
Yep.
81?
that was
So
my
your last
California
round
golf
played.
round.
Yeah, there
Yep.
you go. There you
Yep.
go.
Yep, that was out in Palm Springs.
Yeah, you can't be mad at California.
No,
Look what we gave to you.
It was great. It was great. But yeah, you guys are talking about golf, and I haven't seen my home course in action in
6 months. Huh?
6 or 7 months. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
that's just
that's crazy.
6 or 7 months of time to train for your next season, right?
I have been too. We're talking about speed. I don't have anything like Mike's talking about with speed, but I hit a PR on stack last week at 107 on 195 grams, so that was moving for me.
Okay.
Wow.
And I hit the 45 gram swings. I always enjoy because you just swing as hard as you can, and I hit
Yeah.
120 on that, so that was fun. Just to see that number was fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's actually progressing, pretty well. It's like you said, Mike, getting it to the course is the challenge. I mean, I can comfortably swing in the 105 range, but
Right.
I want to comfortably swing in the 110 range, which I know I can do. I was hitting 111 on GC quad when I was out in California, so it's there.
Wow.
I just have to get it consistent.
That's great. There's guys making plenty money on the PGA Tour around those
Yeah.
speeds.
Yeah,
that's really
if
true.
only
Yeah.
if only I had the mental capacity and ability, I
That's
could
like
go a long ways.
Russ Henley and Sepp Straka aren't
Yeah.
too far off that. Christian Bezuidenhout, Brian Harmon,
Yeah,
Is Straka not that fast? He's such a big dude.
No, he's one of the guys who would surprise you for how slow his speed is relative to his size.
That
He's
is
after
that
picking it
is
up a little
surprising.
this season, but he's been like a low 170s, high 160s ball speed for years. So like
Oh wow.
112, 13, 14 club head speed kind of thing.
And
Wow.
my PGA Tour average hovers around like 115, right?
It's going up. So it was probably 116.5 or something last season. It's definitely been moving
But
up.
you're getting at kind of what I wondered. That's an average. So what are like the speeds at the bottom end of guys who are still competing? Granted, they have a harder time, but
You
on the
don't
bottom end of
really
that,
see many under like 110.
okay,
Mhm.
And if it is someone under 110, it might be a guy who like is older and is coming towards the end of his career. Like
Kisner.
he might have been say like on the slower end in his prime, but was still excellent.
Yeah.
And now, he's pushing into mid-late 40s and he still has status.
the medical
I haven't
exemption
checked it in a
squad.
while, but yeah, and like that's coming less now because they've cut,
Sure.
the amount of cards that are available and stuff like that. Yeah, but if you look at the stats, like you'll see like very few under 110. Like I would say there's none under 105. But if you start going under 110, you're starting to really struggle. Like anything under like 165 ball speed is
Yeah.
coming, like now it's unlikely you're surviving on tour. There's a couple will do it, but it's very, very rare. No one coming out is under,
Yeah.
it seems like 173, 74 ball speed.
These kids can.
There's players still playing well at that or lower, but it doesn't seem to be anyone new, breaking through because
Sure.
you have to beat so many guys that are a lot faster,
So on the other end of that, Mike, we're talking about guys who compete at the slower speeds. Speed is just going to continue going because these guys are training better. They understand biomechanics better, so they're optimizing their swings further. Do you see somewhere where somebody's going to hit, like long drive guys? Obviously, it's a different swing that they train for. Do you think there's a ceiling eventually they're going to hit where somebody's not going to be able to squeeze out the extra mile an hour, or when they do continue to squeeze it out, where do you think it comes more from understanding their biomechanics or their training continuing to be optimized?
No, I think it comes from it gets hard to play golf. I think it comes more from like thinking of, your cone of dispersion at say 200 mile an hour ball speed, and what happens if you're, offline at 200 miles an hour versus 185 miles an hour, and keeping the ball on the golf course. Because your misses would be punished so much. It's almost like you don't really have. It would depend, but it's almost like the width of golf courses almost isn't designed for someone missing at 205 miles an hour. It might be like, how did you hit an OB on that hole? And it's like, well, my ball carries 360. That's how it went OB.
Right.
And then you hear some other people talking about like some really good stats guys. Rishi Hunt is one of them. Hunt Golf Analytics on Twitter. He talks about that, and I think he said, first of all, it's really hard. You won't get many guys at those speeds. It's just unlikely. But he also said like lateral dispersion on mishits or offline shots at that speed might just be too penal. The other thing that's really interesting is players who have a swing that can, like, let's say, get into the 190s or low 200s ball speed might find it really difficult to be good iron and wedge players.
Yeah,
sure.
Because you end up with such massive gaps between your irons, and your wedges might go so high and spin so much.
Sure.
So you often hear some of these like analysts, or I've talked to some top coaches about it. I haven't digged into the data enough at all, but anecdotally, you would definitely hear people saying it's rare to see someone who's really, really fast being a really good iron and wedge player, because the mechanics that allow you like be really, really fast can make it more difficult to be a really good iron and wedge player. I don't not that I don't buy it, but I think there'll be players good enough to almost work around that, because they're almost different skills. But that's like a trade-off you kind of see some people with at the moment. Like Adam Scott's hitting 190 ball speed at the moment. I don't see him having a problem with irons and wedges.
Nope. Right.
But even Rory, I mean, Rory cruises. I watched so much of him the last 2 weeks, and he's, or the 3 weeks, whatever, hitting 190.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even look like he's working at it. He's just,
some would argue, though, that the way Rory swings and creates such power with his driver is one of the reasons why he has struggled with his wedge and short iron play at times.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I don't know, how accurate or true that is, but it's definitely something, you would hear for sure. And then similar with like, guys like Potgieter, Minwoo Lee, Cam Champ, sort of the way that they generate speed might not be ideal for being really good with wedges and short irons. But then the flip side to that is, if you're hitting way more wedges and short irons than players that are shorter than you, you don't even need to be good at them. Like, you don't need to be that good with wedges. You just need to, if you're hitting tons of wedges into holes, you don't need to be that good at them, because you're still going to be better than the guys that are hitting short irons, to a certain extent. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm not sure how that will sort of pan out over time.
Yeah.
But like just the pool of people that are trying to make it in pro golf now, you're getting, bigger, stronger, more powerful athletes. They're training for it from a younger age. It's getting drilled into them how important distance and speed is. So like everything is gearing into there's a number of different reasons why they're swinging so much faster. The new guys coming through, and you even see the established guys are like, I'm gonna try and up mine. Like there's a bunch of guys this year swinging a good bit faster, like Rory, Adam Scott, Jake Knapp, Morikawa.
They're swinging faster.
Scotty's a little.
I know Morikawa gained a lot of speed, and that was actually
Morikawa hit 178 ball speed last week. Like for a long time, he was like
160s,
high 160s, low 170s, and then sort of last season he started nudging it up a little bit. And the bit of golf I was watching earlier in the year, this year, when he won at Pebble, I saw him with some 175s and 6s, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen that for him before. And then in Bay Hill, I saw he'd 176s up to 178, which is huge for him. So that's an enormous new tool in his game, because he's been one of the best iron players like since he's come on tour. he's been one of the best iron players almost every year. Even when he hasn't been at his best, his iron play is still some of the best on tour. So if you start getting him 10 to 15 yards closer to every hole, like it's a big plus for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's interesting. I love looking at that side of it for those players, because they're at levels where improving skill in, let's say, approach play, chipping, putting is so difficult that if they're simply closer to the hole on their approach shots, it can almost be a bigger advantage or a bigger potential improvement than what they can squeeze out of getting slightly better at putting or pitching or iron play or whatever, you know, depending on who they are. So yeah, it's interesting. I think it's very, very exciting prospect if you're on team Morikawa.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it's awesome. So I started Fit for Golf not that long ago. I'm almost through the foundation. So the first I'm like, I think I have 3 more in phase 3. I'm enjoying it so much more than I expected. I've been sort of annoying Hayes because I'm such a newbie that, like, I posted a clip. I'll throw it up here, but Hayes had posted himself in I think that's the hex bar, right? Lifting some insane amount of weight. I mean, just an absurd amount of weight. And I had just that morning done my own version of it with, I think I had 10 pounds in each hand. And now I am treating myself like an old man. Like, I'm really trying to build, and I'm not trying to, because my typical thing is I go in and then I kill myself and then I can't move for 3 days and then I don't work out ever again.
Well, we are the same age, Matt, but continue with your story.
But you have what, 20 years or
I'm busting
25
your chops.
years?
I'm glad you're doing it.
No, I know. But I'm saying, you have 25 years of working out, and I have 2.5 weeks. So, but I posted my own video of me doing the same exercise and, like, being like, yeah, baby, like, with a personal best. But what I will say is I'm very much stunned, because I did bring the PRGR out at a range, and I was up to 104, 105, and I've never been there. I've only, like, at my hardest, I was at 102. Is there a correlation that you have seen so far with the years that you've had Fit for Golf, with where people start? Do you have data on where they're gaining speed, how long it takes? Just out of curiosity, because that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to, like, I'm going to get faster. But if it's a side benefit, I'm all for it. So I'm just curious, like, for somebody starting out like me, is there something that I can look forward to as, like, oh, and as a side benefit, you're going to gain, I'm gaining flexibility. I can feel it. I'm gaining strength, but I'm also gaining speed as a result of those two things. So do you have data on that?
So you're answering your own question there. Like, I don't have, like, official data, because not everybody who uses the app tracks, you know, their club head speed. And it was only recently we got that feature in the app. But what you're talking about there is unsurprising, because, you know, this isn't news, but the biggest benefits people see in their physical capabilities are when they go from doing nothing to doing something. Like, the beginner gains are the largest, which is actually great, because it means that you get massive rewards for making just small changes. So if you think about, like, what you said there makes perfect sense. Like, I don't know, let's say if you're up, maybe you said 102 is your best ever, you were 104 the other day. So let's say you're up maybe 4 or 5 miles an hour with normal swings, roughly. That's not surprising if you've started working a little bit on your mobility, a little bit on your strength, and your body's now just going to be moving a lot better. You know, you're going to be less stiff, a little bit stronger, more flexible. It's not surprising that when you go to swing, there'll be improvements. What people generally see when they start training is really rapid improvements in the first few weeks and months. I would say up until about 6 months or so, roughly. And then after that, it gets a little bit harder to see further improvements. And what's actually amazing so, like, the program you're doing, like, you mentioned it yourself, but, like, that's described as a start from scratch, you know, build from kind of zero base. And the whole idea of that program is, like, I'm sure you could have started with a different one that was slightly, higher level than this. But to be
Probably,
honest,
yeah.
you don't miss out on anything though by doing this, because it's only 6 weeks long.
Yeah.
And it means that you get easy wins of doing, 2, 3, 4 workouts a week that are
Mhm.
pretty short, pretty easy. You feel good after them, and you're not worried about coming back to do the next one. You don't miss any because you're sore or injured. But what I was getting into there is, when people start, let's say, like actual structured, progressive strength training where they're really working on trying to get stronger, the amount of strength that they gain in the first like 6 to 12 months is absolutely enormous
Hmm.
relative to the strength they'll gain from, let's say, 18 months in to 5 years in.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it will probably almost be the same amount. Like, your first, like, 6 to 18 months of, like, structured strength training where you
Yeah.
actually learn good technique in some of the key exercises. You get comfortable straining against challenging loads where you're not worried about kind of dropping the bar or hurting yourself or getting injured, and you're actually able to, I would label it as you're actually able to train as
Yeah.
opposed to just exercise.
Mhm.
You get massively stronger in the first like 6 to 18 months.
Wow.
And then it gets so much harder to get even incrementally stronger after that. You will, but like
Yeah.
it requires a lot more effort, a lot more consistency. So the good news about that is, like we just mentioned, like early effort leads to massive gains. And even
Cool.
if you don't really want to get super strong and really push it like that hard,
Mhm.
it's actually very easy to maintain that level of strength. That's one of the things as well
Oh, that's great.
about training, is that like once you've gotten to a certain level, maintaining it is infinitely easier than trying to gradually go up another 5, 10, 15%
Yeah.
in your kind of strength and power levels, which is great. Like it's really interesting, like how easy maintenance is versus gains once you've gotten to the kind of intermediate stage. Yeah. So what you're seeing is very normal. Like people going from
Cool.
not doing kind of anything to doing a bit, they see massive improvements. It's actually the same with like general health stuff, like people who go
Mhm.
from like
Yeah.
not doing anything to literally like walking for 20 minutes a day. Like they get
Mhm.
some of the biggest, health benefits to their
Mm.
heart and lungs and circulatory system, versus if they then doubled or tripled that, on top of it, it's like the gains
Yeah.
start to decline. It's worth doing, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
not the same as going from 0 to 20 minutes.
It's
Yeah.
a little Tim Ferriss. I'm assuming there's some aspect of that, like 20% of the work for 80% of the gain. On that mindset of like, well, if I can work this much but gain this much, then that's worth the
Yeah.
time. And if
It's
I work,
it's a bell curve. So like
Mhm.
there's
Mm.
you get big initial gains, it increases for a while, it flattens, there's a big flat spot,
Yeah.
and then it kind of eventually gets to a point where you're doing so much that you might not be able to recover from it. You might start actually going
Yeah.
backwards, getting injured. Like most people don't need to worry about that. But yeah, it's definitely kind of on a curve like that for sure.
And I think what's important to note too is for everybody listening, with Fit for Golf, like you don't need to be in a dedicated gym. Like we've got Hayes and Matt are two opposite end of the spectrum examples. Hayes is in a dedicated gym and he's doing
Yeah. I'm in my living room. Yeah,
the heavy
exactly.
lifting. He's doing all the core strength. But Matt is doing it at home and still seeing the gains. So if you're listening and you're someone who's thinking, well, I don't have a gym, I can't benefit from this, I can't do this. That's not the case at all. You just heard a prime example of how beneficial it can be just by doing basic exercise at home. And when people understand that, it's like Mike just said, when you just do something, it has such a massive impact.
Well, Mike, to
Yeah,
Jason's point, in
sorry, go ahead.
2.0, in Fit for Golf 2.0, the program manager feature allows someone to not only talk about their goals and their current fitness level, but also what equipment they have available to them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the main things that I wanted to help people with the latest version of the app, was they didn't need to try and figure out how to modify a
Yeah.
program to suit them. It was like, just tell me what you have and we'll provide you with that program, basically. And there's actually more people use the app working out from home than doing the gym. Like it's
Mhm.
slightly
Mhm.
bigger split of home users. Um, yeah, and what's nice about that, like, is you don't need any space, you don't need any time, and gradually over time, maybe people, if not that they have to, but if they kind of get more committed and more interested in it, just slowly over time, they sort of start upgrading what they have at home. Like
Yeah.
you can get huge benefits without a whole lot at home. Like the two kind of like core pieces of equipment I recommend for people are either an adjustable set of dumbbells. Like people have probably seen the Bowflex ones. They usually go up to 50
Yeah.
pounds in like 5 pound
Mhm.
increments,
Mhm.
or else like they're kind of a one-off pricey enough purchase. Like it's probably $300 or $400 for a pair of them. But then the other one is a set of resistance bands that comes with a little door anchor. They're like $30,
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
there's tons of people using those training at home. They last forever, and it's $30.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got adjustable barbells. They only go up to I think 30. But I was starting and I was like, I know I'm not going to be picking up a 30-pound weight and just being like, let's go, because that's how I end up hurting myself. But it is amazing how quickly I've seen the increase happen. So like I started as light as basically the basic. I think I started at 8 pounds or something like that, and I'm at 15, and already I'm thinking like I could probably go more. That actually was going to be my question. Like from a beginning standpoint, when you see the recommended, so on the workout for if anybody's listening and hasn't seen this, basically it'll say something like 10 reps, and then there's a weight area that you can fill in. So if it's sit-ups or push-ups or something, obviously that's body weight. You're not adding weight there, but for like overhead press, um, I'm at 15 at 10 reps. Should I be going to exhaustion on every set, or should I be slowly building that? So if I did 10 at 15 last week, or last workout or whatever, should I shoot for 10 at 20? Should I shoot at 12 at 15? Should I, like, what is the goal? Like how exhausted should I be at the end of each workout?
yeah. So what you want ideally to have at the end of a set is, so if it's, let's say, 10 reps on a dumbbell overhead press, ideally you want to be using a dumbbell that makes the 8th, 9th, 10th rep very hard,
Great.
but you were still able to complete it. If your, life depended on it, maybe you could have done 11 or 12, but not
Perfect.
be
Okay.
able to do 15 or 16. Like that would be a little bit too late.
Got it.
That would be like the rep range. So the kind of fancy term that people would use for that is what's called reps in reserve. So
Okay.
you can ask yourself a simple question at the end of a set. If my life depended on it, how many reps did I have in reserve there? And if the answer is any more, unless it's some kind of specialty program, like for regular resistance training, if the answer is any more than, I would say, 3, like you're probably not getting as much out of that set as you
Okay.
could. When we're doing slightly higher rep sets, which are more common at home, because
Mhm.
we generally don't have weights available that are heavy enough to get to that point after, let's say, 4 or 5 or 6 reps.
Sure.
It's like not all of the reps are of equal value. So if I give you, let's say, a weight where you can only press it overhead 5 reps,
Mhm.
all of those reps are going to be very stimulating. If I give you a weight where you can overhead press it 10 times, the first 5 of those aren't really doing a whole pile because you have
Yeah.
5 reps in reserve at the end of it. You haven't had to really
Yeah.
strain at all. So it's really the last 5 of them are beneficial. And that, like, it's not a perfect formula, but that pretty much holds true for most rep ranges. Like, it's actually similar if you only had a weight that was heavy enough where you could lift it, let's say, 20 times. Again, like it's sort of those like 15 to 20 reps where you're coming closer to your 0 reps in reserve is
That
where you're
makes
going to
sense.
be getting the gains from that. And then how do you increase? There's two main options. So we can go up in weight, which is, pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The issue that we can have there, though, is on certain exercises, the next smallest increment in weight to go up might be too much. So this
Sure,
is
that makes sense.
particularly important in exercises where the weight we're using isn't a whole lot. So if you're overhead pressing a 15-pound dumbbell and you go up to 20 pounds, that's a 5-pound increase. Okay, so let's just say you can only lift 15 pounds for 10 pounds overhead, right? That's your max reps with the 15-pounder. If you go to 20, that's going to feel like you added 50 pounds. It's going to be super heavy. The amount of reps you can do might drop way down.
Okay.
On the flip side, if we're talking about an exercise, let's say a leg press or a hex bar deadlift, where you can lift 200 pounds, which sounds like a lot, but in those exercises, that's easily trainable within a few months. If we add 5 pounds to that, it doesn't feel like a lot at all because the relative increase is way, way smaller. Like,
Sure.
we're going up, whatever, say 25% on 15 to 20 or whatever.
33
versus,
and then right.
versus 20. Yeah, your maths is better than mine. But the relative increase is way different. So what we can do is we can slightly bump up the reps. So, for example, if you're trying to have 10 being your goal, you can lift 15 for 10. You go to 20 and you're like, oh, I can only lift this for 4. Like it's too much. Well, then you might need to use the 15 until you can lift it for like 12 or 15. And then you'll probably be able to use the 20
Then
for
you
like
jump to the
7 or
20.
8. And that's fine.
Cool. That's great.
That's the way that you can do it. So but it's always trying to have a goal for, and that's why logging your training sets in an app or in a notebook is probably the most effective like training tool ever. Is you see what you did last time, and then you're like, okay, today I'm either adding a rep per set or I'm nudging up the weight by the next available increment. And you won't be able to do that every single workout because we don't get stronger that quickly, and sometimes we're more tired than others, but that's sort of always the goal. And the way I tell people like to measure their long-term strength, like if there's no change in your training weights over 6 or 12-month periods, well then your training's no longer working, and you probably need to honestly like try harder in terms of there actually is more strength than you're like using in your sessions, or you might need a change in your training plan. Like you might need to add a set, you might need to add a training day. But that's kind of how you tell if it's still working. Like if you're still pressing 15 pounds for 10 reps in a year's time, the strength benefits you'll have gotten from that training will have long stopped. You'll be maintaining, which is great, and it's way better than stopping doing it, but like you won't be stimulating any further adaptations.
Cool.
It's like anything. Like it sounds, it's the same as literally any physical capability or skill. Like we need to kind of work close to our limit if we want to gradually improve it. If we go to a level that's too hard, there's probably too much failure. We don't have enough chance to build up. If it's too easy, there's no stress. We need that kind of middle ground where I guess it's a good level of difficulty.
Yeah, that's great.
That has a question pop into my head too, Mike. If somebody is limited with the weights they have at home and the weights that they can buy, and it gets to a point where adding additional volume through sets or reps just becomes way too much volume in training, does that individual benefit from manipulating time under tension the same way that they would with adding volume, or is that going to be a little bit different? What's your thought on that?
Not really, because time under tension isn't all created equal, and deliberately moving weights slowly is going to lead to less adaptation than moving weights with as much acceleration as we can.
Sure.
And the reason why is that like the main adaptation we have from strength training, whether it be strength or hypertrophy, which is the increase in size of the muscle fibers, the adaptations that we're stimulating are happening in our fast twitch fibers. So in all of our, like, without getting too deep into physiology, in all of the muscles you can think about when we're training, we have fast twitch fibers and we have slow twitch fibers. And this is a simplified account, all right? If you get bigger and stronger from your weight training, the ones that change are your fast twitch fibers, all right? How fast twitch fibers are stimulated is when there's a very high level of effort and there's a slow movement velocity, okay? That sounds counterintuitive. The high level of effort is what's needed to activate and recruit our fast twitch fibers. So that's the intent, to push something or pull something as hard as we can, okay? That's what stimulates the fast twitch fibers. The problem is if we're intentionally moving something slowly, that's not happening. There's no need for those muscles to kick in and get to work. So we're actually not using the muscle fibers that are susceptible to grow. And then the other, so if you're deliberately slowing down the time under tension, you're getting one of the factors we need for muscle growth, which is the slow movement velocity. But that slow movement velocity is supposed to come from the external weight being challenging, and we're trying to move it as hard as we can. The problem with deliberately moving it slowly is, we get the time under tension, but it's on the wrong muscle fibers for almost all of the set.
Sure.
So what I would try to get people to do if they're training at home, rather than deliberately slowing down the lift, is to find harder variations of the exercise. So for example, if you think of, let's say, like a dumbbell squat, where you're holding a dumbbell up in front and you're thinking, man, I can do this for like 50 reps. Am I going to do that on every set? Like, that's, boring and, not very fun for one point. And the other thing is you're turning it more into like takes a long time to get 5 or 6 reps that are, say, useful. And the other thing is you're starting to train more like muscular endurance than strength or power. So what I would try and do is like bring that person from a double leg squat to a split squat, and then maybe to like a single leg squat. So with the same resistance, they're putting way more stress onto the muscle fibers of the leg they're working. Because for like an effective training exercise, if we're training for strength and like muscle hypertrophy, which was one of the main adaptations of strength, we need to be thinking at the end of the set, am I pushing as hard as I can? And while doing that, is the weight moving slowly? If both of those aren't happening, then it's not going to be a very effective training set. So that's why with like the best strength training protocols are heavy-ish weights relative to our strength level for low to moderate reps, because then we can simply select, say, like a 5 rep training weight, where maybe if our life depended on it, we could lift it 6 or 7 times. And then in all of those reps, when you're pushing it as hard as you can and activating those fast twitch muscle fibers, the weight is still moving slowly. And that big intent to push as hard as we can, plus the slow movement speed, is what puts a really high, what's called mechanical tension on the muscle fibers. And that mechanical tension is the stimulus to grow. What's interesting from like a training sort of physiology standpoint is what I was explaining there is critical for maximum strength and hypertrophy, which is increases in size of the muscle fibers, right? And that's fast twitch fiber training. So even though the weight is moving very slowly, fibers are recruited based on intent. So because you're trying to move it as hard as you can, think about pushing like a heavy leg press that's moving really slowly. Like all of your fast twitch fibers are going crazy trying to move this weight, even though it might be taking you 5 seconds to complete the rep, right? We're doing the exact same thing when we're speed training, except the load is very light. And what that's training is our nervous system's ability to send signals to our muscles faster and improve the capability of those very same fast twitch fibers we were training with the heavy, slow strength training to contract faster. So there's basically like one element that's different between speed training and maximum strength and hypertrophy training. And all it is the load, how heavy that load is relative to our strength level. And that will dictate how fast or slow our muscle is contracting. And if we're trying as hard as we can and the muscle is contracting very slowly, which is what happens in standard strength training, that's exceptionally good for muscle strength and size. It has some benefit on power and speed as well, but we get a bigger adaptation there if we have the same maximal effort, but there's very little or very light resistance, and we can move very quickly. And those two things are what we want to become really explosive, which is what we want for golf. So think of it like from two sides, and they're basically meeting to make a high peak in the middle.
Yeah.
We want with all of our training reps, the intent is going to be super high. So every rep on the way up, we're thinking of moving as explosively as we can. We do it against heavyweights where we're moving slowly. That increases the size of those fast twitch muscle fibers. And the bigger the size of those fibers, the more potential they have to produce force, which is how we move. On the flip side, if we train with that same level of intent, but we do those movements with very light or almost no weight, we're now improving to a higher extent the signal from the nervous system to those muscle fibers, and also how quickly those muscle fibers can contract. So if you think of like trying to raise something as high as we can basically push it like up with one side on the strength and hypertrophy side, or we can push it up on the other side with the high speed, and we want to push it up from both sides, like at that peak in the middle as high as we can. And that's why if you look through the training of any explosive sport through the decades, the best ones to research are really like track and field, sprinting, jumping, throwing, because they've been keeping records in either time or distance forever. And that's where you get to see, how effective a training program is. That's what all of them do. They all train for strength and hypertrophy, and then they all train light and fast, the majority of which might actually be just derivatives of their training exercise, which is why for golf, what I'm always trying to kind of explain to people is like the two, like if, you're trying to get in from a physical training standpoint, what's the kind of best way to go about club head speed? Well, get your general strength and hypertrophy adaptations from what I just talked about with the heavy or with the high intent effort against a challenging weight, and then practice going as fast as you can with something light, which a driver or a stack sets itself up really well for, and there is some bits you can kind of fill in along the way, but that's a lot of it. Like, it's like if you look at throwers and jumpers, they do a lot of heavy lifting, but then they do a lot of unloaded jumping and throwing, and they're getting both sides of that, the light and fast, the heavy, and by nature, heavy will be slow for strength and hypertrophy. You can't really get away from either of those.
Yeah. Awesome. That's an awesome way to put those two things together too. It's a great description.
Mike, I got to tell you, so we've been doing this podcast for a while now, over a year, and I try to avoid asking selfish questions of our guests. I'm putting that aside. I'm going to ask you all about me questions for a minute here.
Okay. There we go. Perfect.
Well, no, because
I got
mine in, so I'm good. Yeah,
exactly.
You dropped a million different breadcrumbs there, but about being able to substitute exercises for different things. You talked about, high loads. I've got 2 weeks left to go in the force workout. Okay. In the force program. I've been training for a long time. I haven't really ever had lower back pain problems until this year. The only difference between this year and every other year is I've got a simulator in my garage. So I'm using my lower back a lot more, right? So the question is,
Yeah, it's not the program's fault.
right? No, I'm not blaming you. It's me. But my point though is I think I can still safely execute a back squat. Like I know that form, right? So from a substitution standpoint, one, and this is very self-serving, but are you okay with belt squats instead of back squats as a substitute? Because I've got a belt squat, and we mentioned I've got a well-equipped gym. There's 2 belt squats, which you don't see very often, and I've gone to that and I love it. But am I cheating the program, or is that an acceptable substitute in your mind?
No, not at all. Like that's definitely an
Okay.
acceptable substitute. So, excuse me, one of the things I would, one of like the key, I guess, like training philosophies I would suggest to people is like we're training to stimulate adaptations in our muscles and in
Mhm.
our nervous system. We're not training to get better at certain exercises. And the adaptations we're trying to stimulate in our muscles and in our nervous system can be done with a wide variety of exercises. Like to a certain extent, like our quads, our glutes, they don't know or care what exercise we used to make them way bigger and stronger and more powerful. It doesn't really matter. Those adaptations that you've stimulated exist regardless of whether you did it with a back squat, a belt squat, a split squat, a leg press. And the adaptations are going to be like the same level of transfer
Okay.
to another activity or very close. Like it might not be exact, but because there is going to be slight differences in what muscles and what parts of muscles, but like it's really, really similar, the adaptation we've got. Like, so if you got one person like super strong with, let's just say, belt squats, and another person super strong with back squats, you'd have a hard time convincing me one person has an advantage over the other person for when we're talking about using their legs in something that isn't either of those things.
Sure. Okay.
If that person was going to be
Yep.
tested in a back squat or in a belt squat, yeah, the thing that they trained in, there'd be a benefit because there's so many specific coordination things. But if we're talking about like how it helps somebody like, you know, use their legs in the golf swing or just keep their legs strong and powerful for life, nah, then there's no good argument. And then the other side of that is if somebody has any sort of like injury concern, niggle, ache, or pain that's occurring in, let's say, what they might view as the um like the preferred exercise to use,
Mhm.
well, then there's actually a good chance that that niggle or ache and pain or fear is going to reduce either the load or the level of intent that they
Yeah.
use when they're doing that exercise. And then the problem we run into, if we say we're using squats to get your legs as strong as possible, but you're back squatting and you're like, you know what? My lower back doesn't feel great when I have this
Mhm.
300-pound bar across my back. Like I need to take it easy here and I need to do these first few reps pretty slowly and make sure everything's okay.
Right.
Like there's no way you're putting as much force into the ground with your legs as you
Yeah.
would be if you didn't have that concern. And if you do that with the legs, with the belt squat or like the leg press or whatever, and that concern isn't there, you'll definitely be stimulating like more of your leg muscles than you would be with the cautious and I'm worried back squat. That's kind of what I mentioned at the start, like where one of the key things with people making, if they decide they want to get kind of more serious in training, actually like learning to train is one of the
Yep.
most important things that you can do to set yourself up for future progress. Because like I've spent so much time in gyms over the last 15 years and watching people train and training people like as a job, you go to exercises and you're like, man, like I like for example, it's like I love back squatting and it's really good for strengthening my legs.
Mhm.
And I like training, like it's what I like to do. But this 62-year-old that's come to me doesn't really like training. And he certainly doesn't like when I put a barbell across his back and ask him to squat. Because all he's thinking about is like, I've never done this before. What happens
Yeah.
if I fail a rep? Like, what do I do if I get to the bottom and I strain my hamstring? Like, if all these things are going through their head, it doesn't matter if you think it's a good training exercise, or lots of people do. until that person has gotten competent with, hey, I'm not worried at the bottom anymore because I know how to leave it on the pins or whatever, like it's not going to be a very good exercise. And there's two roads that can be gone down there. And like a lot of trainers will get into big arguments about one versus the other. You have people would say like, these are the best exercises. They have to learn how to do them. But the other side, it's like, actually, they don't really care about training that much. And they can get very close to, or maybe the exact same benefits with something that's basically foolproof. We can just do that as well, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the way I'd look at it, you know?
Got it.
Hey, can I ask a question here? So, so far in the program, and I have no idea. I'm just starting. Is cardio any part of the program? Do you recommend, hey, go out and go for a walk every day or every other day, or on your off days or whatever? I've got a Peloton in the garage, which I actually quite like. I quite like using. It's been a little while, but I do really genuinely enjoy it. Is that a good recommendation for off days? Because it's gotten to the point where I'm waking up at 5:30 regardless of whether or not I'm working up, because now I'm in the habit and it feels good. And
definitely.
Okay,
like,
great.
For a number of reasons. So like it's the way I would look at cardiovascular training is versus, let's say, mobility, strength, and power training. It's not going to have as an immediate a transfer to the golf swing. Like if you just think of what you're doing and the different types of training, it just doesn't really stack up. But what it's incredibly important for is long-term health and fitness. So the way I would look at it is like there, and in just say like health and longevity research, the two main things that are important are strength and power and cardiovascular fitness. Like they're the two most basic things. They're the two most important things. We definitely have to train both of them.
Yeah.
We can't like full body strength train every day anyway. So it makes perfect sense to do cardiovascular training on the days in between because it's good for us and we need it. The way I'd be looking at it too is because it helps keep us so much healthier, you're hopefully like adding healthy years of golf to your golf career as well. It's like we can't just strength train and hope to stay as healthy as we otherwise could. And you're setting me up nicely for like app plugging and promotion.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
That's actually perfect. Yeah.
That's one of like the biggest features that I'm working on at the moment is like a between workout day menu, basically.
Awesome.
Okay.
Nice.
I love
So like the app at the moment, most of the programs are 3 days per week, roughly. Like I tell you to work out and then wait 1 or 2 days before working out again. And depending on the program and the person, like 1 or 2 days might suit better. But what I don't like, there's already mobility routines and the swing speed training feature in the app. But what's not there yet is like how to structure a training week with these different things. But before doing that, I wanted to add cardio routines to the app.
Okay.
And then what's going to come is like you do, let's just say your first, let's say regular Fit for Golf workout of the week is on a Monday. It will tell you, your next workout on this program should be Wednesday or Thursday. And then it will have a menu with like for the next 2 days, we suggest either like cardiovascular, mobility, or swing speed training. And you'll be able to choose which one you want to do. And it will have options loaded for you. So yeah, there'll be like the most complex one by far is the cardiovascular one, because for mobility, it's just copy me, like do this routine. You don't need any equipment or whatever. The swing speed training one is, you're filling in the data boxes for what your swing was.
Yep.
But the cardio is a little bit trickier because it's like, well, what's the modality? Are you running, biking, rowing, swimming, whatever? Do you want to do steady state or interval? And how long would you like to do? So I'm basically like planning those sessions, and we're getting the app set up to have the user interface to support actually like doing an interval session in the app. So for example, like a common one that I would do is like, let's just say on a Peloton, you'll have a 5-minute warm up, and then we'll do like 20 seconds hard, 40 seconds easy for, let's say, 10 rounds. and you'll have your interval like timer with, you know, your bell, your high intensity go, your low intensity rest. And it's just a way to give people a way better structure on their training week, because one of the most common questions is definitely like, what should I do on days in between workouts?
Yep.
And that will like help answer that question pretty well.
Well, I think also I think it's a little addictive. I mean, to be honest, you're talking to somebody who's purposefully not worked out for a long time, and I'm still working on fat for golf, but it's
You won't,
it's not really,
you realize that was all a lie.
not really working
Caught up in
very well.
litigation.
Hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to sell if you keep losing weight. So, you know,
But I think the thing with fitness too is like and training, the more regularly you do it, the easier it is to stick to it. Like for sure, it's definitely something that if you feel like you're good at it, it's easier to do. Like there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, on the same token, though, I think the other argument, though, and what I struggle with is there's only so many hours in a day, and it feels like there's too many blocks to check in a fitness routine than you actually have time to do, right? So strength training, speed training, mobility, some static flexibility training, maybe some cardio. Oh, I got to recover from that. I should be in a cold plunge. I should sauna.
You don't have to do any of that anyway.
Right, but you know what I'm saying? Is like there's so many blocks to check that it's almost overwhelming.
Don't tell Hayes he doesn't need a cold plunge.
Right.
So the way I would look at it is like there's certain things that you can get pretty much all of the benefits with a very small amount of time invested. There's other things where to get the benefits and it's actually worthwhile putting much more time into them. And if we go back to what we talked about a second ago with like the long-term health stuff, like 100% your strength training and your cardiovascular training should by far, like without question, be the two biggest focuses of your like assigned exercise time. There's nobody could argue against that. Like there is literally no argument that makes any sense. When it comes to mobility, that's important. You can cover it pretty well in a 5 to 7 minute warm up that you need to do before your strength training anyway.
Like your daily warm up routine before you work
100%.
out. Yeah.
And strength training is really good for mobility in its own right.
Sure.
There's loads of research showing how effective strength training is for improving mobility. So like really the way I view it like is, and I've been doing this for literally like 10 years, is one day strength, the next day some sort of cardio. And when I say strength, it's going to be like some dynamic mobility warm up, a little bit of like strength and power, some of the jumping and maybe throwing or high speed stuff, and then basic strength training. And that's ticking off the box pretty well of mobility, the high speed stuff we talked about a while ago, and the heavy strength stuff. And then the next day, it's some sort of cardiovascular routine.
But that all assumes like a steady foundation of cold plunging for 10 minutes a day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And then, so you asked then about the speed training. Like, to be honest, like I just include my speed training in golf practice.
Yeah.
Like if time is limited, like basically all of my like speed training now is driver practice. Or if you're going to be doing like the stack or something like that, especially if you're coming into the season, I'd be doing it at the same time as your golf practice, because you don't need to spend any extra time warming up and you're already swinging. So like we're coming into like real prime golf weather in Southern California here. Not that it was, bad. Sorry, Jason, for the last few months, but like to stay on top of like say driver speed, I'm hitting like 15 drivers, like 10 to maybe 8 to 15 drivers depending on the day in my practice session. When I'm fully warmed up, I have the radar down. Yeah, I'm trying to get a high speed, but it's not like I'm trying to break a swing speed PR on every swing. Like that's enough to stay on top of it. If you don't, like if you're in the depths of winter, you might be doing 3 30-minute sessions a week because you don't have the opportunity to go outside and practice or whatever. So like you are right, it is a time commitment. Like I think though with literally even 20 minutes assigned a day you can get to a pretty good level of strength and cardiovascular fitness if you're consistent with it. If you can assign an hour a day, if you get more serious to your strength and cardiovascular fitness, then you're in really, really, really good shape, you know.
Yeah.
And on top of that, just trying to be as active as you can, like less sedentary time, more active time is important too. Like that's something that even people who work out a decent bit can be guilty of, is like, you know, 40-minute Peloton, but 14 hours of sitting in a day, you know, isn't great either.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I bought a standing desk, so I'm trying to do everything I can to like get up, even if it's only just standing for
How do you
a
like
half
it?
hour at a time. I love it. I actually genuinely love it because it will just just gets me up and off my feet, and then as soon as my feet get tired, I put it back down, and then it's some little thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't take my laptop on a walk. I wish I could. I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah, like for example, someone who's on calls a lot for work, like, and doesn't need to be on their screen, like that's a perfect way. Like if you can do that, even just pacing around like the office or house, that's such a big difference to sitting. I'm not sure about like writing emails or, you know, like looking at screens when you're on a treadmill desk or standing. Like I don't do that, but like if it's a call or something like that, like I'll just be strolling around the house basically.
Yeah.
Well, Mike,
Cool.
you mentioned we're getting into the season. We follow you on Instagram. You're very active on there. Did I see correctly that you're running a promotion for a free month trial right now?
Yeah, so if you go to the Fit for Golf website, there is a free trial option available. The best way to do it, actually, I think, is to go to the Instagram page, and the last post has a link to it. And if you just comment under the post, we'll send you a link to a free month.
There it is.
That's awesome. That's huge.
Fantastic. Mike, can't thank you enough for joining us again, sir.
My
Hope
pleasure.
you enjoyed yourself.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So great to see you.
It was great. Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Good
All right.
stuff with the training, and hope you have nice golf seasons. Keep me
Yeah, you
posted
too.
on
Yeah,
how
you as
things are
well.
going.
We'll track you on gin.
Thanks for listening in.
Don't.
Welcome
Give it a couple of months.
Okay, fair.
All right. I think we're out of here. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
everybody. See you soon.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
See
Mike.
ya. Bye-bye.
All right, Matt. That was Fit for Golf's Mike Carroll. What do you think?
My favorite part is that we each got to ask a selfish question. I think this needs to be a new segment in our show where we just ask questions that are totally self-serving, because
we got to workshop the title. We'll call it like, and now it's time for self-serving questions.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
No, he's got so much information, and he makes it so accessible. I don't know. I'm such a fan, and I've got to work out tomorrow morning, in fact. So I'm actually weirdly looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Especially now that I know, like, oh, okay, great. I should actually be pushing myself as hard as I can, because I do feel like I've been holding back a little bit because I didn't want to hurt myself, or I actually don't know what my limits are. That's kind of a fun thing to discover. So,
Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll see what we do.
Yeah, I'm actually, you didn't ask me during the recording, but I've actually been sipping at pre-workout like that entire time. I'm going to go in the garage and hit some balls.
That very, very natural color.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What
No
is
artificial
that?
flavors in here.
Yeah, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze.
Right. It's a blue raspberry potion of B12 and caffeine and God knows what else.
I can't believe you can drink that at night, but God bless you.
I'm gonna be paying for this tomorrow, but I don't have any other time during the week to get I got to get 2 speed training workouts in a week. One of them is Sunday. I got to find one more somewhere else during the week. So this is my time. So I may not sleep tonight, but I'm gonna swing driver as hard as I can. Cheers, everybody!
Off the bed.
Hope you enjoy that one.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening, and definitely check out the. He's got a free month on the website, so you can check it out the website, or you can go do what he said. Go to their Instagram. I'll throw that up, and
and come find us. lifeattheturn.com, the community site. You can find us there.
Yep.
Look us up. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you guys.